What's happening, people? Johnny Styles here with the Wellness Observer Live. It is Wednesday, and you know what that means. We've got a lot of news for you right now, and we're going to cover not one, but two shows. We're going to cover the Mr. Big Evolution over there in Portugal, whatever you're going to say it in English or, Spanish or Portuguese. And we're also going to cover the one and only the show in Texas that everybody wanted me to talk about. And we're going to talk about it because that's what we do. And now we have all the pictures from the show. But it's also cool to let everybody know that I'll be this weekend at the Thai Pope Classic. It's a national qualifier, July 16th. It's the show Saturday. And then right after Sunday, they have the breakfast with the pros. You can see Ty Pope there with his super poster, and it's gonna be a good show. It's gonna be in Lake Mary, Florida, Orlando, Florida, and in that breakfast with the pros, there's gonna be lots of celebrities in our industry, and let's see who shows up from the wellness division. Hopefully, I can get some good interviews for you guys there, and just chat it up with fans and also NPC competitors and pro athletes as well. So on today's show, we're gonna talk about not only Texas but Portugal. I'm gonna start with that show. A lot of people want me to cover shows that happen overseas. The thing is that at the moment, I'm focusing more on what's happening here in the States because you got to remember the wellness category has been around the world for many, many years. It's only been in America for two. So if it's such a big show and I see some quality outside of America and outside of Brazil, then I'll cover it as well. Eventually, I would have to cover pretty much all the shows because that's what we want and that's what we strive for. Thank you so much for following the Wellness Observer Live. Thank you so much for following here on YouTube, on iTunes, on Spotify. If you didn't catch the episode 16, last episode, you can follow it on the page or just search on your search bar. A cool video with Tina Wilson, new IFBB Women's Physique Pro, who took 10 years for her to get her pro card. And I know, obviously, she's not part of our wellness class, but I found it cool to give that video and that interview for all the other NPC competitors who probably, they crossed over from bikini or crossing down from figure or women's physique and they want to venture out into the wellness class. And, they get third, they get fourth, they get sixth, they get last, they get second, and they cannot get that pro card to not get discouraged. It takes time for people and, just never give up. If that's your goal, I think everybody should watch that interview because it came straight from the heart and it came straight from somebody that really truly loves this industry and itself and this hobby we called sport, that is the bodybuilding and fitness. We're gonna start off right off with the Big Man Pro in third place. We got Leonida Siobu. I think that's what I think. If I butchered your name, please let me know. These are names that are worldwide here. If you see her in this pose, she's got a great shape overall, great shape. If you see her, great delts. She is, one more time, as I keep saying almost every time I do these play-by-plays, standing two up and down for this pose. She has good glutes, from the side, good thickness, good calf, but she needed to stick her hip out a little bit more. Like if you see this silhouette and you're not even thinking about wellness, you could make a case that she is posing very figure-ish. So that's why I called it two up and down. From the back, great glutes, great teardrop, a little bit on the softer side, especially in the hamstrings. Calves can be a little bit bigger. But they're okay. Sometimes her tan didn't look overall good. So, it looked kind of greenish. Maybe it was the lights or something. And we have this other pose that kind of resembles the front pose which is very good. I like this a lot. I like when a competitor can do a front pose and kind of show some muscle. Some girls just do the front pose and they don't show the actual muscle. They just leave the leg on display. I like this look for her, and she does have a cool, very good twist right here in the waist. And hey, she could do very very well in the upcoming shows. In second place, we have Karina Marquez in this blue suit. Again, look at her front pose and look at these quads right here. Beautiful shape, beautiful muscle bellies, cap delts. Very, very, very good cap delts. These girls look very, very muscular. From the side, she could have been a little bit darker and again, standing a little bit too up and down, but she does have these round glutes that can pay off. She doesn't need to stick it out as much. Her calves can get a little bit bigger, especially from the side, and her muscle, especially hamstrings and quads, can get a little bit thicker from the side. She looks great, and let me tell you, this was a close show. Today's going to be a show about like shows upon shows that are really really close. If you see her right here, look at her teardrop. Insane, insane. It's one of those things that you can see not only her teardrop coming down all the way to her hamstrings, but the adductors. Okay, great shot right here on her quads, and you can see the quads from the back. That's good, but her calves need work. Her calves need a lot of work still. Okay, from the side they look okay, but from the back you can tell that some muscle can still be grown. And in reality, when you see her on these poses, you just can make a case for her, probably winning all these shows. But what happened was that, hold on, I'm trying to see if I have another picture of her, which I don't think I have. Let me see if I do. No, that's about it. But in reality, when you have a glute this round, you don't have to push as much as other competitors. Okay, she's standing pretty much up and down. Her, the same thing kind of happened to Leonida, the girl that got third. I just talked about her. They look very figurish, very 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 muscular. So in a sense, you can say this show was about up these three girls. First place, Catarina de Sousa, looking spectacular. Once she came out, you kind of sort of could tell that she was the clear winner just because of her overall presentation, her overall package from the back and from the front. It kind of resembled a little bit of Francielli for all these people that didn't know about her at first. From the back, absolutely amazing. These full round glutes, very hard. Look at these calves. Wow, very good, very good. She was hard from the front, from the side. She was hard all over, and she could look absolutely amazing. I'm really impressed on how she looked on stage. And again, I'm only covering them because in reality, the rest of the other girls in the class, moving them from like, I don't know, sixth place forward, all the way down to the placings, they were not very good in my opinion. Here's a very interesting shot. So where they're doing the front pose, you can clearly see they're all doing different type of posing, and I just wanted to point that out there. It's very very interesting. Now from the back, look at these two right here. Holy moly! You know what? You can make a case of all four of them, and this is what I keep telling all you guys. Okay, when I talk about shape and structure and genetics, you can look at all these four girls and you can see their teardrops, diamond teardrops, and they all have great freaking glutes. You can't force it. All these four girls look great. Can the calves get better? Probably. Shirts can get better, and you see here the coloring. As I'm saying, look at the difference between these colored girls and this one. You gotta be aware of what color works on your skin better, and her calves can get better. But this is a tough choice from the back. In reality, Katarina has a little bit more size from the back than Karina, and you can see it's very close. It's very close, and that's hard for judges. That's really hard for judges to judge in any show. And you can see even here from the side, the size is all there. You can see all these girls are very well put together, and they all look great. I'm really happy to see this show happen in Portugal, and if you haven't seen the show, it's cool. This is one of the few shows that actually puts a little bit of more into the stage presentation. This show, when it starts up, it has like a revolting stage where they have all the competitors going around with the cool lights and everything. And I think that's really cool, especially for the people in attendance and for the people that eventually see the show on their live streams, because we have to put that into consideration. I have done a couple of videos on who I think it has the best stage production and video production in the world, better than the Olympia and better than the Arnold, and that's the Monster Gym in Korea. If you haven't checked them out, I cannot wait to be there in person and seeing all these world-class girls. I would say more. I would say that if you're an athlete and if you're an IFBB pro, if I was an IFBB pro competitor, I would strictly do this show just to have some type of DVD, Blu-ray, something high 8K version of myself, because the way they have their stage set up and the way they have their camera set up, it's so amazing that even if our competitor places last, the way the body's gonna be shown on that footage is just astounding. Okay, so that's gonna do it for this show. If you didn't know, this show had more than 15 competitors, and I told you from the very beginning that it's gonna take time for these shows to get better, because it's starting and it's brand new, and it is what it is. But the same thing happened in bikini, same thing happened in men's physique. Little by little, the category is gonna keep expanding, and we're gonna keep seeing more shows. Remember, right now there's other countries that are not as up and running as the United States of America. So right on, moving into the Republic of Texas. This was another great show, which happened to be one of those shows that on prejudging you kind of thought we're gonna go on one way, and then in the finals something must have changed, because they changed not only the placings but the way they put the girls in. I'm gonna do a quick play-by-play on the top 6 competitors of this show, and I'm gonna start off with Rachel Lee. I don't know if you know. Also, I want to point out something real quick. This stage shots you're gonna be seeing on everything that you see basically on this show can be found in NPC News Online. And in this show, the Republic of Texas, the one and only J.M. Mannion shot these pictures. Some of you have, sent me messages asking about certain colors on certain pictures. What happens is the lighting sometimes on stage can mess with the color temperature on the camera. Obviously, you know that I know, because I'm also a camera guy and I'm also somebody that knows how this works. So sometimes when a competitor walks to the center line on the X, that's why it's important for a competitor to know where she's standing. The light can hit differently, and that's why some pictures look what we call hot temperature, which is more like a warm color, and some pictures look cold. So it's not JM's fault. It usually happens on the stage when the coloring of the lights is not the same in the same stage. So I wanted to clear that out so you understand a little bit more. And that's why some pictures, when you go home and you watch them, say, why do I look some bluish here and why do I look reddish here? It's because sometimes the color temperature on these lights are not the same. So talking about Rachel Lee here, okay? And Rachel had sent me a message earlier. She was kind of upset. I don't want to say upset. She was weirded out about certain things I said about the genetic structure of Asians, and how do I think that Asians don't have what it takes, or something along those lines. And I wanted to address here because I have her on screen. What happens is that, as you know, when have you seen, the possibilities of seeing an Asian with curves or a Latina body? When have you seen that? I'm not saying you can't see them. It's just the way the genetic structure of Asian women, it's a little bit different. I remember back in 2009, okay, 2009, Phil Heath was in Puerto Rico doing a guest posting. We went out to lunch, and he had told me that when he went to do a guest posting in Asia, I think it was Japan actually, um, he was impressed with the amount of muscle, physical shape and structure from these Asian competitors because their skin looked differently, their muscle looked different. That's why you don't see a lot of big, huge Asian bodybuilders. That's why, do you have them? Yeah, you have some, but not like a lot, like here in America, for example. And in reality, he told me, the way they eat over there is different. They eat a lot of fish, they eat a lot of clean foods. And it's going to take time for Asian competitors to achieve the wellness look. If you look on the Wellness Observer Live on Instagram, you can check that I've promoted certain Asian girls that have absolutely developed into a wellness shape. I do know that a lot of Asian people have great calves to begin with. Some of them don't even do exercise. But when we're talking about glutes and hamstrings and all the lower body ish, it's one of those things that, Asian genetics, they have to work probably extra harder. So I explained to her that, I do like that it's coming towards Asia. And when you see a show in probably in Japan or Korea or in China, like the wellness girls over there, they're probably gonna get judged a different way because there's not enough size or standouts at the moment. Okay. So for Rachel, look at her. She placed sixth in this great show. And can she be bigger? Sure, absolutely. I like her abs. She has great upper body for wellness. I like her a lot in that sense. Her lower body needs to be a bit bigger, in my opinion. As you can see here, she got some decent quads, great calves, good calves. A little bit of skin here in the knees, but that can be fixed, hopefully. And then let me see what else. From the side, I'll show you this picture from the side, and you can see in a moment what I'm talking about, the color that you saw. See the color, how it changes from blue to like a reddish tint? That's because the stage lights change wherever she was standing. Her glutes can be definitely bigger. There's like a little point here, like a little point that she can get better in this area. Overall, she needs some size, okay? And I'm sure she can get it. See, her calves can get better, but she's good. It's just she needs overall size. I'm really happy that she did the show because now you can see where she's standing next to the other girls. When she turns from the back, you can see that she has like a miniature type of, glutes, hamstrings, quads. You know, we had a few small girls in this show, but you'll see what I mean when I talk about the other girls. Okay, so her glutes need to be bigger, definitely, and overall her overall package needs to be bigger. Next up, we have somebody that I really, really do like. It's Jenna the Manicure. Okay, you see again, once again, how the color changed in the picture. That's part of it. Jenna looks great. She's one of the best side posers in the game. When you can see the side pose right here, look at this glute coming out. Can she have a little bit more upper glute right here? Yeah, she can do. She can do. But from the side, killer hamstring drop, good lines. She was a little bit on the softer side. I would have liked to see her a little bit harder, but she has great stage presence. Okay, and she can do some damage. She's one of those girls that you never see coming. From the back, you can tell that she wasn't as hard as I've seen her before. The calves need a little bit of more work, but from the back, look at the quad looking on the outside, the outer quad looking great. Her quads almost make her glutes look even smaller, but she was just not on. She was not on, and we've seen her harder. And when you see a competitor being harder, then when it shows up not in the best 80%. You just can tell that they're not in shape. Even her abs here, they'll have like a film of water going in. And what I was telling you guys earlier, the girls in Portugal, they were like almost flexing the quad. I like that in my personal opinion. So that was fifth place. In fourth place, this was a shocker. It was a shocker right here for Julian Winston for Sunrise, Florida. But it was weird because we've seen Julian hard, okay? We've seen her harder. But in reality, here she came in softer. And you can tell her abs wasn't as dialed in. Her shoulders look even better now because they're not as big and round. And her quads weren't as hard and shredded. Now, when you turn him from the back, Julian looks really hard, especially hamstrings and adductors. And, her glutes can get a little bit bigger, but she has great calves. She has great calves and great overall back development. When I did my play by play, I had Julian, and prejudging. I had her battling for first and second. Something must have happened that the judges changed their mind. Her abs here have a little bit of distension, which I've never seen her with this distension before. Maybe this was a point that the judges kind of realized. But from being right there in the second, in my opinion, being second to moving to fourth, something must have happened because again, Julian has this full round glutes, great hamstrings, great calves. She truly deserved the win in Miami, in my opinion. So, Julian, I don't know what else to tell you. This is a hard industry, hard sport. Sometimes some judges tell you come in softer, don't change anything, or just come in harder, and it's really hard. It's really hard to do that. You got to be at the right place, right time, right situation, right judging panel, right show to actually nail it. So that's why now more than ever, when a competitor wins a show, it's tears can come up because it takes a lot more than just a great body. Okay. In third place, Laura Verduzco. Wow, that's a telenovela name. Diana looked great when she came out in prejudging, and I guess on the night show she looked a little bit softer, but great shape, great shape. Tiny waist right here, as you see. Great quad development. Very muscular arms. Her tanning could have been a little bit darker, but she looks good. From the side, she is posing way too up and down. But look at this crazy leg from the side. Wow, very impressed. These shoes, I don't know. I don't know about these shoes. I've never seen these shoes before. They look different. But good lats. Look at it. The bigger the lat here makes her waist look even smaller. Her glutes definitely need to be bigger, especially from this side post. And if she was hitting the hip, she would probably look even better. From the back, you can say that she really has calves to begin with. They have to be bigger and great quads. Again, one of those quads that you can see from the back, and that's always a good thing. You can see shades of the teardrop, but overall, she wasn't as conditioned as the judges probably would want her to be compared to the other girls. And in reality, again, this is another shot that you guys can see. Look at this crazy leg from the side. Holy moly. She needs to get this calf a little bit bigger in order to match his crazy quads from the side. This is where you see that she's standing way up and down, and these glutes look very small. You see, that doesn't look round. It looks normal here. It actually looks like she needs some more upper glute. But she was very good. She was very good for this show. Honestly, I really liked her look, and it was a battle. Honestly, I would not put it into a question that I would think that this show probably for some reason it was like a 1 point difference in all these girls that did great. Okay, so second place, believe it or not, in her second pro show ever, we have the Puerto Rican mini tank Alejandra La Fonseca, which came off a Puerto Rico pro show. That was her first real pro debut, and went 3 weeks after to Texas with a much different, much harder, much more polished look. I do know from a fact that a lot of the judges loved her posing. Okay, so when you see her posing, make sure you follow lead. Again, I've talked to her before, I've talked about her before, and I know that she comes from a dance background, and when she gets on stage, she can transform herself. Great stage presentation, great quads. She is a mini tank for a reason. Okay, this should show everybody that it doesn't matter the size. People are saying, well, if I'm short or if I'm too tall, I'll never make it, blah, 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 blah. And I don't believe that for a single second. Okay, there she is from the side. And this is where I think Alejandra is still liking. And again, I'm gonna tell her right up here in the show, she is standing way up and down, way up and down. That hip needs to be sticking a little bit more because she is lacking still on the glutes. Her quads are so big and so dominant for her frame that makes her glute look small. And trust me, when this girl has done better year after year, she's gotten better, but she still needs to work on the glutes. Great package overall. She is the Puerto Rican mini tank for a reason. And then, we have Daphne, the Cuban mini tank. If, for example, if Alejandra had Daphne's glutes, it will be game over for a lot of the girls in the run it up all these shows. It's just Alejandra needs more time for those glutes. Here you see how crazy these legs look. Okay, this is Olympia caliber legs. These calves are to die for. But again, it's one of those things that when you see her glutes, they're small compared to these great freaking legs. I had her third and fourth on prejudging, and she moved up all the way to second. Very, very close. Imagine if on your second show ever as a pro, you get your chance to win and go to the Olympia. Holy moly. That is something that not a lot of people can say. And it almost happened. She was very, very close. Winning the show, as I predicted, as the Nostradamus / Godfather of Wellness, Isamara dos Santos comes here straight from Brazil and wins. And I want to point out real quick before other sources say certain things. Isamara, I don't consider her honestly to be humongous tall girl. Okay, next to Alejandra, she looks like a giant because Alejandra is 4 foot nothing, but she's not that tall. I remember seeing her with Casey with Casey in Orlando, and look it up. IFBB Pro KC. Casey is a tall girl, and she doesn't need the heels to actually look tall. That's a tall competitor. Now, does she have a long, like, from the legs to the knees to the calves to the ankle, all that? Yes, but you gotta point out who's standing next to her in compared to the shots. I was impressed with her. Okay, I'll give her that, but I would have liked to see Isamara a little bit harder, just a little bit, because on this front pose, look at this great vacuum she's doing. Very good for her shape. Look at the lat, very, very tiny waist. The glute sticks out from the front. Holy moly. And then right here, she would have probably flexed a little bit more, and I would have been absolutely happy with it. But when she came on, you could see that, she had those lines from the side and her abs were always dialed in. That stomach was always in. Very good for her appearance, because after you've seen some girls do great and then they have that distended stomach, she always kept it in and looked really, really good from the back. And, she has one of the longest, teardrops because she's like that big. I would have liked to see her a little bit harder. I would have liked to see her a little bit harder. Her calves can still be better. Okay, her calves need to grow, and I'll say it again. Her calves need to grow. When we go to the posing, okay, to the comparison shots, and this is where it gets gonna get good. In the comparison shots, I'm gonna put it right bigger so you guys can see everything. We have all top 6 girls. This is where they put Alejandra and Isamara in the middle and then move Judy to the side. In reality, Alejandra, it's 4 foot nothing next to Julian and next to Isamara. Of course, they look like giants. Even Jenna right here looks like a giant, but they're not really that big. They're just different shapes and structures. But if you're gonna give me this call out, I like Alejandra a lot in this call out. Okay, Isamara has great shape, from the front, and since it's so different, the height difference, you can make a case for her. Okay, I'm going pose by pose from the side. From the side, see how big Isamara's glute and leg looks compared to the rest of the lineup. The only one that can do damage here is Jenna and maybe Julian right here. But Julian's posing very awkward in this pose, very very awkward. When we go to the back, great shot, and this is where you see that Alejandra is missing these glutes. Okay, we have seen Julian harder in the glutes here, but she has crazy hamstrings. It's very very weird. And Isamara by far is the one that has most developed. You can make a case here for Diana looking great, and you can make a case here for Rachel looking decent. She needed to be harder. She needed to be harder. But when it comes to overall presentation, overall look, I can see where the judges kind of gave the nod to Isamara. When we go back to the other quarter turn, see how close it was between, in my opinion, between Alejandra and Diana. It's really close between them two, and they're almost the same size. And of course, it's gonna make Isamara look like a giant. Okay, maybe this is the judges telling the class that in reality they want this type of look. Maybe this is the judges saying, okay, we want this type of look for the girls, and we don't want you as hard. Do I agree? Kind of, sort of. I kind of liked the look they brought in Portugal, which was a little bit harder. And remember in the past show what I said, my first call out for the Olympia, and if I thought this show was going to make a dent for that show, and I still believe it didn't. As much as I like Isamara, I still could see her in a second call out, but I don't think she's gonna do any causing the ridge in my first call out. So there you have it. Two great shows in two different, completely different places in the world. And I'm really happy this is going moving forward. On the judging side, again, two different panel of judges. They kind of have the idea. It's getting better. It's getting better, and it's gonna come down to a great show in Las Vegas. Remember, we still have Tampa Pro, and hopefully I'll be there in person to watch it live and give you guys my opinions and everything. Don't forget to comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Did you like the lineup? Did you like the overall look that they brought in Texas, or did you like more what they brought in Portugal? There's two different looks. I'm gonna bring it up right here. Look, two different looks. It's a little bit harder, more muscular, and that's why I always say you judges can always judge what's in front of them. And who would have known? What would have happened? What would have happened if this four girls would have been in Texas? What would have happened? Were they too hard? Were they too soft? Who knows? In reality, we gotta do what we gotta do, and that's why you gotta do these shows. Alejandra came in and took 3 weeks. She got harder. She looked better. She had more confidence on stage. And while people thought, including myself, thought that she was going to get third or fourth, she ended up getting second. So, hey, that should be a huge motivator for her, not only to continue to compete, but to know that size doesn't even matter when we're talking about height. And yeah, the mini tank itself, she has the name for it, and she has the power for it. So this has been Johnny Styles. Thank you so much for listening in, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. This weekend, Orlando, Florida, I'll be there with the Type Hope Classic National Qualifier. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Click the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. Subscribe if you're listening on iTunes. Thank you so much. If you're listening and watching on Spotify, thank you so much. I love you all. If you need to get a hold of me, you guys know where to look. Okay. Follow the Wellness Observer Live and send me a message. Let me know what you guys think in the comment below. This has been Johnny Styles, the Godfather of Wellness, the one and only.